Welcome back to Say No to Lashon Hara, day 46. This entire series is being done as a zechut for refuah shlema for Chana bat Simafega. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when He created this world, gave us an incredible gift, and this gift is the gift of teshuvah, which means to repent. It allows us, even after having made mistakes, to be able to fix those mistakes and to move on with a feeling of purity, of cleanliness, and to not have that guilty conscience that haunts someone who has an unfinished business in his past. This idea of teshuvah, it applies in many different sins. And it also obviously applies with regards to Lashon Hara. Generally, the laws of teshuvah, they encompass three different specific arenas. The first one is that a person needs to regret the sin. They need to admit it and confess it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God. And then they need to accept that they'll never do it again. These three steps are called charata, which means to regret something, vidui, which means to admit something, and azivat hachet, which means to leave it behind and have a kabbalah le'atid, to forevermore decide that I'm going to accept on myself to not do this sin again. So generally, those three steps provide a person, when they're done correctly, with teshuvah. However, every time a person has a sin between man and God, those three steps are enough. So as an example, a person breaks Shabbat, they can feel terrible about it, they have charata, they regret it, they can come to God and say, I sinned, I broke Shabbat, and I promise never to do it again, and this is my plan to never do it again. That's the process of teshuvah. However, when a person is involved, when you've hurt somebody other than just, so to speak, a sin between you and God, our rabbis tell us that a person, in order to have teshuvah, needs to get forgiveness from that person. So let's discuss how this applies to Lashon Hara. Let's say, as an example, I speak Lashon Hara, but not a single person believed me. Zero damage was done. No one listened. The only thing that I did wrong was the actual act of speaking against somebody else. So in such a case where I've not harmed that person, no one listened to what I said, the only thing is that I got the sin of Lashon Hara, those three steps would be enough. And if I did that, I have teshuvah for the sin of Lashon Hara. However, says the Chafetz Chaim, what if someone did believe it? What if the person lost a chance for a profit or a customer or a promotion or a shidduch? There you've actually caused the person damage. And following the rule that whenever you cause someone damage, it's not enough to be able to do the regular steps of teshuvah, says the Chafetz Chaim, that would apply here too. And a person would have the obligation to go to that person and to say, listen, I spoke badly about you, and I think I may have caused you some harm, and I feel terrible, and I apologize. How can I make it right, etc., etc. And when that person forgives you, then the three steps that you do will achieve a full teshuvah in accordance with and connected with the forgiveness that you've got from that person. However, the great Rav Yisrael Salanter felt that he disagreed with this idea. He said, imagine this person doesn't know that you've spoken Lashon Hara about him. In this person's mind, he's having a great day. He has no idea that anything was done. You come along, and now, because you want forgiveness, you come and say, well, I did this, I said that. You're introducing this person to the pain that we're trying to avoid in Lashon Hara in the first place. And the only reason why you're doing it is in order to get forgiveness from him. So Rav Yisrael Salanter felt that you're in a catch-22. You need to ask him, but you have no right to cause him the pain of asking him. So therefore, you can't get teshuvah. The Chafetz Chaim, however, did not agree with this, and he held that so long as damage was done, the person can ask forgiveness and then do the regular three steps of teshuvah. The challenge with Lashon Hara is that oftentimes we're not really aware that we've spoken about all these words. It's just something that came up casually, we weren't careful, or we did not know that there was damage that was done, so we just said something, didn't think about where that went, or don't even know about where that went. In such a case, the person will never be able to properly do teshuvah because they're not even aware of the forgiveness that they need to get from this person for this problem. What's even worse sometimes is that instead of speaking about one person, We can speak about an entire family. These guys, yeah, they all have a temper. These people, they shoot from the hip. They're very impulsive. You just knocked off not just one person and caused damage, but an entire family in one shot. How about if a person says, "Oh, Syrians are like this. Ashkenazim, Hasidim are like this." You took not a person, not his family, but an entire sect of Am Yisrael, and you perhaps spoke negatively about them. How could you possibly ask forgiveness from each and every one of those people? So we have to be especially careful about these kinds of Lashon Hara that we spread and have no way of ever pulling back.